Hi, and welcome to this demo of the Cost Manager. The Cost Manager is basically where we're going to look at the budget and work with the budget, and where we look at stuff like estimated complete and estimated final costs. You can get to the Cost Manager two ways. One, click on the little CM button up here for Cost Manager, or you can go on General Ledger and then choose Cost Manager from here. Both of them will do the same thing. So the first thing you notice when you click on the Cost Manager is it'll come up and alert you of any unposted transactions you have. Any unposted transaction will not be reflected in the Cost Manager. Then it'll bring up this little screen here, which is your selection screen, where you can choose how you want to present it and what you want to see. So if you had multiple currencies, you can choose which currency you wanted to display in. And along here you have three buttons where you can select all accounts, so that's all your cost accounts and your balance sheets, just your cost accounts, or just your balance sheets, and that's what you'll see. Along here you have some buttons here which will basically move stuff from the left to the right. Anything on the right is what we're going to see, and also some buttons here which will move it from the right to the left. The one with the single arrow here will move it just one that you've selected, or a group, and the one with lots of arrows will move all of them, so it's completely empty. If you want to select a group of accounts that you want to have a look at, you can click on any one of them and just click on here to select them across, or you can click on the first one, hold the shift button down and click on the last one. It'll select the group and you can move them across. Or if you wanted to select some which are not next to each other, you can click on the first one, hold the control key and then click on some other ones that you wanted to incorporate in the view, and it'll bring them across. As we would just want to go and have a look at the cost accounts only for this demo, I'm just going to click on here, select cost accounts only. Now we're happy with what we're going to see, we click on modify. Now we're presented with all our cost accounts down here on the left hand side and the associated budgets that have already been put in. To move around, you can either scroll up and down using the scroll bar, see them all, or if you know a particular account you're want to go to and have a look at, you can just click up here in the selection box and then you can start typing in, and as you type in it gets narrower and narrower until you get to the accounts that you're looking for. When you first come into the Cost Manager, you'll probably want to start editing the budget, and the way you can do that, you can see the budget line is over here and it's grayed out, so we can't actually do anything with the budget at the moment. It's locked. So we click on the little button up here called Edit Budget, and as it's my first pass through, I would like to make my EFCs the same as budget. So instead of having to type them in here and then type them in the EFC column afterwards, I can tick the little box that says make EFC the same, and it'll come up with a little alert saying that when you do change it and it'll update the EFC, you'll see some variance. To get rid of the variance, we'll just have to click on Save and Refresh. So as an example, if we look down here, we have a cost of budget of 400 with an EFC of 400. So let's just say we want to make it 500. And then now you can see it's showing you a variance of minus 100. By clicking on Save and Refresh, it'll get rid of those. So now it's 500 in the EFC, 500 in the budget, and there's no variance. So these columns, estimate to complete, estimate final cost, budget, and variance, it's a cumulative variance and variance for period, they're all linked. So as an example, if you look at this one here, stunts, has a PO of 800 and a budget of 1,680, estimate final cost 1,680, so therefore estimate complete is 880. So if we were to change the 880 to 900, you'll then notice that the estimated final cost leaps up to 1,700. The budget remains the same, and we get a cumulative variance of 20 and a variance for the period of 20. If we decided we didn't want that variance of 20, delete the variance of 20 out of it, then you'll notice that the estimated final cost drops down again and the estimated complete goes back again. We have a field out here at the end called Notes. So this is a great one if you got a producer who's accessing Cost Manager as well as a production accountant. If you add any notes in here, if you just put in your initials before and then then literally it's a way of communicating between the production accountant and the producers. Accountants may update some things and the producers others, depending on their area of knowledge. Obviously the operations of the cost manager must be decided between producer and accountant before you start the project, so you know what to expect from everybody. One of the great features with the cost manager is you can go in and drill down on any costs. So here you want to travel, we've got £12 and we want to know what's that cost made up of. All you need to do is right click on it, show transactions, and it will show you all the transactions that make up that cost. So here we can see it's an invoice, transaction number 4, that's the date and a description. You can also do that on the purchase orders. So you just need to right click in the purchase order section. So here where we have the 800, again just show transactions, and here you can see the purchase order numbers and the dates and the amounts that make up the 800. Now if you find something that when you've gone in and drilled down is coded incorrectly, then normally you'd have to exit out of the cost manager and go and do a distribution change. We can now do that from inside the cost manager itself. So let's go and see if we can find a cost there we go. So cost £100 here. Let's see, right click on that, show transactions, and we can see that is transaction 11 and it's a bag of pots. Okay, and it's gone to prop master. If we suddenly realize, oh, it shouldn't be prop master, it should be to standby props, for example, then all we need to do is go down here at the bottom where it says distribution change. Click on distribution change, and now you get to select whatever it is, whether it's an account range or whatever. We just happen to know that it's transaction number 11, so I'm just going to bring that one up, and here you can see that's the account it's currently going to. So we're going to change that to I can't remember what that other one was. So if I just delete the last two, I don't have an account number 28, and then I tab through, then it brings up the select account, and in here I can see standby props is 2803. So I just double click on that and I'll bring that in there, click on save, and it'll come up and tell you that if you've made any changes, you need to click on save and refresh for it to show in the cost manager. So currently it's showing it still in its old place here. Click on save and refresh, and then we go back to that account 28, and now you can see it's in standby props instead. And again, we can go in and have a look. Still transaction 11, it's just been moved down. So that's doing it on the costs. I think we had some commitments up at the top here. So if we go to what we have, here we go, some commitments here. We can do the same thing as we did there. So for example, we have transaction number 1, which is PO0021, and we decide that we want to modify that for whatever reason. We can then just go down here and modify PO, and again we can now choose a transaction, or we can do a PO number. I think it's transaction 1, and that will bring it up there, and then you can just double click on it, and now you can see the PO where you can then go in and change whatever it is you want to change in here. And then when you're finished changing, click on save, and then click close, and then you're back in here, and again it's warning you that you need to click on save and refresh if you've done any changes for it to display in here. What you can also change is the name of the accounts. So here you got on 1205 you've got a brackets around the S. So if we think that that looks ugly when we do our printouts, we don't actually want that. Instead of going out of the cost manager and going to chart of accounts to modify the name of the account, we can just go in here, click here, and just go to the bit that we want to get rid of. And there we go. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Now let's change that. And then when we click on save and close, or save and refresh, it will then change the name, get rid of the S in the chart of accounts. Now if you've done some changes in here and you kind of got yourself confused, or you're not sure exactly whether you want to save these and you think, actually no, I don't like the look of that, I want to go and check that. If you have not clicked save and refresh, then all you need to do is click on cancel. Then any changes since the last time you saved will be lost. So then you don't have to worry about anything. That when you're playing around with figures, you suddenly think, oh no, that's completely wrong, and you just click on cancel. It'll not save any of those changes and go out. When you're finished, you can then click on save and close if you want to keep all your changes. Click on save and close, and it'll offer up, do you want to print a cost report? In this case, let's just click on yes, and then we'll come up with the cost report selection screen. We can have a summary cost report, or we can have a detailed cost report, or we can have both of them together. If we're doing it in a PDF, then it'll put them all as one PDF, first summary, then the detail, so it's easy to distribute that way. We're just going to go to detail here, and at the moment it's got all my accounts, cost accounts selected, none of my balance sheet accounts, so obviously I just want those. Again, you can choose what currency you want to print it out as. And one final thing you can do is, under here you've got your detailed, and up there you got your summary. So under the detailed cost report, it's showing you which columns it's going to print out. So currently I don't have total cost including POs, so if I wanted that, I just need to tick that, and as you can see, width remaining on the paper is 168. I think that's pixels. So you can tick on the various bits, and if you find that you're running out of space, you tick all of them. I think we might run out of space. Oh, no, we haven't. Okay, and we can go in here and do 120. Then you'll see we now have -16, so we don't actually have enough space. So then we can go and change some of the other ones to 25, for example, and then we're back in again. We also have the ability to word wrap, so that any really long descriptions or long account descriptions will wrap around to the next line. When we're all happy with that, we then click on OK, and then it'll come up and you can then select your printer, or you can select PDF if you want to send it to a PDF so that you can email it. You also have the ability to click on print preview. Print preview will do just exactly that. It'll bring it up as a print preview on the screen for you. And it's brought up on my other screen, so you just make it smaller over here. And then I'll just drag it into view. So there you go. So now you have a print preview of what it would look like. And then at this point you can print it out if you want to a PDF. I won't bother with that. I'll just click on close. Now if you'd like to print the cost report without going into Cost Manager first, you see my menus decided to go. Here we go into here, and then under General Ledger you have Reports, and here you have Cost Report. So that'll bring up exactly the same screen that we're looking at a few seconds ago. Again, the same column selects that you had before. As you can see, it's reverted them back to the default standards. And if you wanted to do an export, you can just click on Print Detailed, Export Detailed. Now it will do it in an Excel format. Click on OK, and it'll save it on my desktop. Let me just have a look where it is. It's there. So that's how it'll come up. And if I double click on it, it'll open up in Excel. And now you have it in an Excel format, so you can sit and play with the figures. One last word on, now we don't want to save you, go away. On the report side of things, if I open up here, if you go under Setup and then go down to Custom Reports, you will see we have a whole bunch of reports here that you can customize. So under, for example, Cost Report Detail, which is one we looked at a little while ago, these are the same settings that we saw in there. But if there are certain things that you know you always want or always don't want, then you can, for example, click on that. Now, every time you run a cost report, it will default to this. So these will be the defaults you can do. And again, you can go in here and click and change these settings to whatever you want to make it look the way you want it to look. And then when you finish with that, just click on Save, and it'll now remember that. And then when you go and print a cost report, then it'll have those settings for you each time. And that kind of concludes our little demo on the cost report. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much.